everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. You could technically call this a review, but I'm not, at least not exclusively a review. Today what we will do is we're going to be discussing, critiquing, and yes, reviewing Grant Morrison's run on Batman thus far. Seeing as Grant Morrison is done with Batman and Robin, and now Batman in Ink is on shelves, I think it would be a good time to kind of sit back and discuss and gain perspective on exactly what Grant Morrison has done with Batman up to this point. See, he's been on the title for quite a few years, and seeing that Batman Ink is supposed to be his last chapter of his Batman story that he's trying to tell, lasting for about 2 years, it would be nice to actually kind of discuss exactly how far things have gone since we started with Batman and Son, up until this point. What are the major themes? What stuff I would change? What stuff could have been removed? What stuff should have been added? I'm doing this for a few reasons. The first reason, as you guys probably guessed, is just more or less to voice my opinion. Apparently you guys want to hear my opinion. It's not like real life over here, no one really wants to hear my opinion here, but I figured this would be a good time to kind of give my opinion on how I feel with Grant Morrison's run on Batman. Seeing that my opinion with his run has constantly changed, evolved, and gone in different directions. Second is a food for thought for you guys. Maybe throw some ideas out there on the table that you haven't thought about when reading Grant Morrison's Batman. Maybe get a different perspective on things. And the last reason why I'm doing this is because, well, Grant Morrison has been doing Batman for quite a few years now. And for new readers, getting into Grant Morrison's Batman can be intimidating at best. So, maybe this is a way to ease people into reading Grant Morrison's Batman, maybe not be as intimidated or confused. Now, as I stated, I will be talking about some of the major themes that I believe are important in Grant Morrison's run in Batman. But I'm only going to focus on what I believe are the major themes. Now, there's been millions of videos, blogs, written reviews, and everything else out there that's been discussing all the hidden stuff of Grant Morrison's runs, or the little details. I'm not going to deal with the little stuff. One, I don't have enough time. Two, is I just don't want to overload everyone. And three, is that it's been discussed by many people before. I mean, I'm not going to talk about how the colors in Batman and Son reflect what happens in Batman and Robin. Or maybe the panel of Batman talking to Commissioner Gordon here will reflect his discussion with Damian Wayne here. I'm not going to focus on that stuff. I would rather have you guys experience that for yourself, too. No, I'm just going to focus on some of the bigger topics. So with that said, let's just jump into this discussion, critique, and review of Grant Morrison's run on Batman. Now let me just say, anything I say here could obviously change towards the end of his run on Batman Inc. His run isn't completed yet, and when it is complete, I will give a full review of it. I'm actually considering doing reviews of runs on comics, but that's a different discussion for a different time. The first and probably the most major topic and issue and theme in Grant Morrison's run on Batman, at least from my perspective, is Bruce Wayne. See, Grant Morrison said back when he started writing Batman that he was going to change the Batman mythos forever. Now, admittedly, I was scared about this, especially leading into Batman R.I.P., because I thought he was going to have Batman do something that was, well, for lack of a better term, not repairable, like Batman killing. Never do I want to see Bruce Wayne kill. I mean, there's been a few instances like the Cult, but that doesn't count. So, to have Batman kill would have just ruined it for me. But he didn't. But still, he said that he was going to change the Batman mythos, or just change the character forever, shake things up. Exactly what he was going to do, I really didn't realize up until now, after rereading a few stuff and looking at some things in each comic, and even talking to some of my friends. And really, the big major thing is that he's bringing Bruce Wayne back into the fold. Since the modern continuity, and more so since the 90s, Batman has been the predominant persona of Bruce Wayne in Batman. Bruce Wayne has been more or less a facade, the cover-up, for the Batman, who has been considered the true personality. However, in Grant Morrison's run, it's pretty obvious that he's trying to bring Bruce Wayne out as an equal personality to the Batman, trying to consolidate the two into one personality. Let's look at some of the evidence for this. First and foremost is the fact that in Batman R.I.P., we have Bruce Wayne's persona removed. Batman gets psychologically attacked, and the Batman Zoran, however you pronounce it, comes out. And this is a representation of Batman without the Bruce Wayne persona, a brute vigilante who has very little direction and only one goal in mind. Another thing we notice is that during some of his earlier work in Batman, particularly Batman and Son and Batman and Black Glove, we see more of the Bruce Wayne persona come out, doing things that Bruce Wayne has never done before. We also see in Batman R.I.P. that it is Bruce Wayne that takes down Dr. Hurt. At the very end, when Dr. Hurt challenges Bruce Wayne / Batman, Batman takes off his cowl, defiantly standing there as Bruce Wayne, jumps onto the helicopter, and defeats Dr. Hurt, for the most part. It wasn't Batman that defeated Dr. Hurt. It was Bruce Wayne, the person, the individual, who jumped onto this helicopter and took down Dr. Hurt. After being hit with the Omega Sanction, and in a sense through time, you find that in the Return of Bruce Wayne story arc, that he very rarely wears a cowl. And it's actually Bruce Wayne who is the hero of the story. Not Batman, Bruce Wayne. An interesting thing that Grant Morrison has said in one of his interviews is if you look at the title, Return of Bruce Wayne, you can take two things from it. One is it doesn't say the return of Batman. Batman never left. It is the return of Bruce Wayne. He's the hero of the story. That's one thing. And two, it's the return of him as a personality. So, as you can see in the Return of Bruce Wayne, he's the main hero. It's not Batman, but Bruce Wayne. Even at the end of Return of Bruce Wayne, you see him with this Omega evil virus thingy, I don't know how to describe the hyper whatever, on him. And he tears it off, symbolically tearing off the darkness that was the Batman. The negative darkness of the Batman. And then throwing it aside, having his friends deal with it. And it symbolically represents that forever bye-bye to the grim, psychotic, and, well, just plain moody Batman that we've known in the previous years, and hello to a Batman that is more well-balanced. Grant Morrison isn't trying to make Bruce Wayne the dominant persona. No. Nor is he trying to make Batman the dominant persona. No. What he's trying to do is consolidate these two characters together, showing that you can have a Batman that can be lighthearted, have better relationships with friends and family, at the same time be a tragic, dark, cold, calculated hero, without going to any extreme on any end. So, I believe that the major theme in Grant Morrison's run on Batman, the major epic change that he's going to be doing with him, is really the return of Bruce Wayne, the consolidation of the two characters, the merging of them two together, bring balance to Batman. Another major theme in Grant Morrison's run on Batman is multiple Batmen. He tries to establish Batman, despite having no powers, to be something that people always aspire to, or something people always want. Particularly the theme of replacing the Batman. In Batman and Son, we see two examples of this. The first example would be Damian Wayne. Talia al Ghul wants a fitting heir to the Empire for the League of Assassins. And, in order to do this, the person that she chooses is Bruce Wayne to be the father to her son. Now, obviously, Bruce won't join the League of Assassins. Ra's has been doing that for years, trying to bring Bruce into the fold. But Talia believes that if she can find Bruce Wayne to be the father of her son, she would have the perfect heir to the Empire. A genetic match of her best qualities and Bruce's best qualities. We even see an issue in Batman and Son where Damian becomes Batman in an alternate future or possible future or whatever. Damian Wayne is the first representation of replacing Bruce Wayne, creating a new Batman. A second example of this is the Batman imposters, the three individuals that are created by the Gotham Police to replace Batman if anything would happen to him. Again, people want to replace Batman or have a Batman for themselves. We then move into Final Crisis. And probably the biggest example of them all is that Darkseid wants to clone Batman, his personality, his traits, and his abilities to create what he believes to be an unstoppable, perfect army. This is a great representation that it isn't sheer strength or super speed or the willpower to create constructs that makes a superhero great. It's their mind, their ability, their determination. That's not to say people like Superman or Green Lantern or Wonder Woman don't have these qualities. They definitely do. But the Batman excels more than anyone else's because he doesn't have those powers. He is a representation of the best that human beings can be. The smartest, the most skilled, and the most unstoppable. And Darkseid wanted that. So, an example of replacing the Batman would be creating an army of Batman. Obviously it failed because, well, Bruce stopped him, and probably the most ingenious and unorthodox way. Then we move into Battle of the Cowl. Again, a representation of replacing the Batman. We have multiple people wanting to fill the void, to pick up the mantle of the cowl of Batman, which leads into Dick Grayson becoming the new Batman. We then see in Batman and Robin that Dick Grayson wants to return Bruce Wayne back to life, throw a clone's body, which he didn't know at the time, into the Lazarus pit and bring it back to life. Again, replacing or returning the Batman. And now, we see with the return of Bruce Wayne, that Batman is creating this Batman Inc. He is now creating an army of Batman. Sure, they may not be carbon copies or clones or exact replicas, but he sees the biggest picture, and he sees that Batman is a symbol. It's like a badge. By wearing this badge, you stand for something, and he wants that around the world. An army of Batman. Whether or not this will be pulled off, we'll have to wait and see. But again, the theme of multiple Batmans replacing Batman, creating an army of Batman, is heavy in Grant Morrison's work. The last major theme I want to touch upon is fighting the devil. Grant Morrison's work has been riddled with the ultimate evil, going up against the biggest bad and taking it on, and Batman basically defeating the devil. Now, I would like to say the devil as a representation. He's not actually going up against Lucifer, the fallen angel, and all that junk. Although some people would want to say he is. But is Batman going up against a representation of the devil? Dr. Hurt is probably the most plain and obvious of this. He is a Satanist who's trying to ruin Batman's life, pure evil, creates the Black Glove, just absolutely over the top, a great representation of the devil. Puts Batman through hell, some of the most unorthodox ways of taking down a superhero, and yet Batman perseveres. Then we have Darkseid, the representation of pure evil in the DC universe. And who takes him down? Well, technically it was the Black Rider, the guy that kills the New Gods, but it is Batman that starts the chain that takes down Darkseid, defeating the devil, evil itself. If you look at the dialogue that is used, he says, "Got ya," saying that, I got ya, the ultimate evil. And then you see in the return of Bruce Wayne that he constantly goes up against representations of evil, going up into a trap that Darkseid sets, and overcoming this trap that would end it all. The representation of the devil, fighting the devil, or a personification of evil, is heavy in Grant Morrison's work and Batman, and I'm quite curious on seeing how it will be adapted into Batman and Inc. Seeing that we've had to deal with Dr. Hurt, Darkseid, and even a Bat God which is summoned in a satanic ritual, it would be interesting to see where he goes with the theme of fighting the devil. So, out of all the themes that are in Batman for Grant Morrison's work, I believe these are the heaviest themes. These are the most predominant themes. Now, with Grant Morrison's work on Batman, there is some stuff I would like to critique, at least up until this point. I won't lay down exactly how I feel about Grant Morrison's work yet, because he hasn't completed it. I like to see the story as a whole before I jump in and start saying, well, it was great here and all that junk. No. But there are a few things I would change. The major things are Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson being Batman. See, when Bruce Wayne is hit with the Omega Sanction, he's sent back in time, and for a good amount of time, he's not dealt with. The character is put aside, and we deal with Dick Grayson as Batman. My major issue is that you really didn't have to do that at all. Right after Final Crisis, you could have told the story of Bruce Wayne returning during the Omega Sanction. You could have told pretty much the same story, get the same themes, and the same clues and hints that you did in the real story with Batman and Robin and the return of Bruce Wayne, and not have to have Dick Grayson become Batman. See, the thing is the reason why I would change this is because when Dick Grayson becomes Batman, there's really not much you can do afterwards. It's either that you keep him as Batman, or you remove him as a character. Now, I like the Nightwing persona, and I think Nightwing works very well. One quote summed up Nightwing and Dick Grayson perfectly. Dick Grayson said he was too optimistic to be Batman, but he seems too much to be Robin. Thus, Nightwing. However, when you become Batman, what's going to happen? You can't step down. Anything else other than Batman, at least in the Batman family, is a step down. So if you became Nightwing again, it would be like moving back, even though I like the Nightwing persona. And then the only other option is remove the character or kill him. And not that I don't enjoy multiple Batmans, but Bruce Wayne is the definitive Batman to me. So I probably wouldn't have made Nightwing, well, become a Batman. The second thing I would have changed is just how well delivered Grant Morrison's work is. It feels as though a lot of times you have to branch off into other comics, or you have to wait, or you have to try to figure things out the way they shouldn't be done. For example, Final Crisis is kind of the end of Bruce Wayne and Batman R.I.P. R.I.P. transitions into Final Crisis. And technically, Final Crisis really ends at the end of Return of Bruce Wayne. This feels as though like everything is just drawn out, and it would have been better if everything was more well organized. Release dates also had a big thing to do with it. Those are the major problems I've had with Grant Morrison's run on Batman. Mostly the fact that I would have liked Nightwing to stay Nightwing. And I feel as though he could have told the same story without having to have a long wait without Bruce Wayne and make Nightwing Batman. Second thing is it would have been nice if stuff was a little bit more well organized. I feel as though he rushes the last issues of his material. Batman R.I.P., I feel as though the last issue was kind of rushed and didn't work out the way he would have wanted it to. Same with Final Crisis. The last issue of Final Crisis was my major complaint with the story. Disorganized and felt rushed. Even the return of Bruce Wayne kind of ended abruptly, leading into other Batman work. But those are just some of the things that I would change, the major things. What I'm trying to do in this video is just basically give you perspective on what's happening with Grant Morrison's work on Batman thus far. Like I said, he's jumping into the final chapter of Batman. These aren't all the themes in his work. No, they're not. But I feel as though these are the major themes. I would really like to hear your discussion, your opinions on this matter. I'm laying this out on the table to see where it goes. I'm not saying that everyone's going to agree, and I'm not saying that these are the exact themes that Grant Morrison may want to pull across. For all I know, an interview could come up and Grant Morrison could just basically say the exact opposite. But from what I've read and from what I've discussed with people, these are the themes that stand out the most with me. So I hope this was helpful for some people, maybe had you guys think a little, and also, I hope this is just overall a nice food for thought to you guys. I really would like to hear your opinions in comments or even video reviews. If you don't, that's cool, no problem. But with that said, I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.